Gligar is so cool. Pincer hands, ears that look like horns, bat-like wings, spiky feet, scorpion tail, vampire fangs, and a cute emoji tongue face. I still use :P when messaging people today. It's a habit that I find really hard to break as it was established when I was very young. MSN Messenger was the coolest way to connect with friends after all, and Kabutops and Omastar roamed the earth. I'm getting old. It's a different story in today's world, and Gligar has a cool evolution now that makes it very viable. But back in the days of Generation 2, this little thing really didn't have much going for it. Perhaps that's one of the reasons that I hardly remember it from my childhood. Poor little demon mouse thing, I wish that I had fond memories of you. But maybe today, I'll get to make some. Gligar also has a very interesting typing in ground flying, but because of its garbage learn set, it doesn't learn any stab moves by level up or TM. The only way to give it a stab move in Pokemon Crystal then is to get Hidden Power Ground or Flying. The type of Hidden Power is determined by the Pokemon's determinate values, or DVs, which were replaced in Generation 3 with IVs. These DVs also determine the attack power of Hidden Power, which can range between 31 and 70. I use a save editor here to set up Gligar with the 70 base power Hidden Power Ground. This is the better choice of the two because with it, Gligar has 7 HP, 12 attack, and perfect defense, special, and speed. But with flying type Hidden Power, Gligar would only have perfect speed and special. Also, ground moves are just going to be more useful in Johto than flying moves. So lack of stab is one reason Gligar's learn set is bad, but access to only Poison Sting at level 5 is another reason. Look how bad it is in the early game. This makes Weedle really annoying because they resist my only attack. I never thought I'd say that. To prepare for the rival, I train up to level 7 in order to boost my offensive power and learn Sand Attack. And then against him, I use the most powerful move in the world. This makes the Totodile miss a couple of times, and that allows Gligar to take the victory. I hate to continue with the negativity train, but Gligar is also part of the medium slow level group, so it's going to level up pretty slowly. It's not as bad as a legendary or a pseudo-legendary though, but it's still going to be a slog. Making matters worse, I can only fight the first 3 trainers on this route. I skipped the final bug catcher because he has a Weedle on his team. Now I'll do some training in Sprout Tower. It isn't fast though, because Poison Sting is awful. This has to be one of the worst possible moves to start the game with, especially if you don't get stab. Making things worse again is the fact that grass type attacks deal neutral damage to Gligar. I use potions to heal as I go to prevent walking back to the Pokemon Center. And then I get into this fight. I wasn't paying attention and I ran out of PP on Poison Sting. I guess I'm just having more PP problems again. Great. Watch this riveting fight where I deplete all the PP of Sand Attack. Bellsprout, your days of attacking are over now. As this fight progresses, I start to question if I can defeat the Sage anyways. Did he have another Pokemon, or is it just one Bellsprout? Maybe I'm just gonna faint from recoil after all of this. Gligar knocks the Bellsprout out and the Sage is defeated. Okay, good. Falkner time, and my Gligar being flying type is gonna prevent all of his annoying Mudslap tactics. I think that I should just probably exclusively play the game with flying types, that way I'll preserve some of my mental sanity, especially in this fight. This is why I like Butterfree and Venomoth so much. They avoid these annoying Mudslap tactics. With Falkner out of the way, I want to reflect a little bit on how fair Game Freak made the TMs in Generation 2. Here's some Pokemon who can learn Mudslap that I've already used in playthroughs. Girafarig, Sneasel, Stantler, and Corsola. Oh, and also some Pokemon that I haven't used before but can also learn Mudslap. Mantine, Skarmory, Elekid, Magby, Miltank, and Blissey. Looks like everyone can learn it, right? Well, except Gligar, who's a ground type. I can't believe this. Gligar doesn't learn Mudslap, Dig, or Earthquake. Game Freak, you made some really cool new Pokemon in this generation, and then gave them awful learn sets, and no evolutions in their debut game. Look at how this fight against Zubat is going. This is what happens when the best move I have access to early on is a 15 power Poison Sting. And after this, it's not going to get better, because again, there are no stab moves for Gligar. Ah, the poor little demon mouse. He's just so sad. In Union Cave, there are 2 hikers, and I really want to avoid both of them because these fights will be so frustrating with only Poison Sting. I do have to reset once to get past the second hiker. Luckily, both of them can be skipped in Crystal, unlike Gold and Silver, where you have to battle the second hiker and the first hiker is an unpredictable spinning trainer. I really hate those ones. In the bottom of the cave, I grab the TM for Swift. I wish I could save this for Karen, but today I'm going to use it right away because completing more of the game with Poison Sting is just unacceptable to me. The Rockets and Slowpoke Well are much easier to defeat now that I have a 60 base power move. Things are starting to move along well. Bugsy is next. Because of my typing, I assume that I can just spam Swift here again and make it through the entire fight. Next, Scyther comes out and it's the only Pokemon that could knock me out. But I resist Fury Cutter and it isn't gaining power fast enough to take me down. I finish it off and clean up the Kakuna that follows. Bugsy gives me Fury Cutter as a gift for defeating him. Now, I have to defeat the rival's Ghastly, and the only two tools that I have against it are Fury Cutter and Poison Sting. I teach Gligar Fury Cutter in place of the new Quick Attack, which I never even used. And then I go head to head with this red-haired nameless trainer. Ghastly uses Lick first turn and immediately paralyzes Gligar. Okay, this is bad, because if I fail an attack due to paralysis, Fury Cutter's power is going to be reset. You can see this here, and I'm dealing almost no damage to Ghastly. I need to get a few turns in a row in order to deal decent damage. Luckily, Gligar doesn't suffer too much from the paralysis and starts to roll with Fury Cutter. Ghastly faints and Croconaw comes out next. It uses Water Gun for super effective damage, which does a small amount to my Mouse Beetle thing. And then Fury Cutter one-shots it. Zubat is last, and this could be a bit scary because it confuses me right away. However, luck is on my side and I finish it off. I was very worried about this fight, but I didn't get walled at all. Here's a small tip. Since I want Flash and Cut for the playthrough, I teach them at the same time, and I only need to access the menu once to do this. While this doesn't save much time, these small efficiencies really do add up over the course of a playthrough. I'm always looking for small things like this to incorporate into my gameplay. In the forest, which I won't name, I teach Gligar Headbutt. The 30% chance to flinch and the additional base power can't be passed up. In Goldenrod, I heal in order to set my teleport waypoint, and then I grab the radio card, the bike, and the coin case. Next, I've got to pick up Return, but this lady is grumpy today and won't give it to me despite the fact that it's Sunday. Alright Gligar, I guess you don't love me enough yet. That really hurts. I feel so unwanted. After this rejection, I head north to chat with another girl, the Squirt Lady's sister. I think I need to keep working on what to call her. Oh, and look here again, she ran away from me. Yikes, another rejection. Speaking of rejection, in Whitney's gym, I go up against this Snubble. I think if I did a Snubble run or a Granbull run, my girlfriend might actually leave me. She hates these two Pokemon. They're sort of a forgotten evolutionary line though, so I feel compelled to make a video with them at some point. Just not today. Too many rejections already. Whitney is next. I'm starting to think that Fury Cutter was designed as a TM specifically to give the player an option against her that wasn't trading for the Machop or using a Geodude. It's really great against her because Clefairy can't do much. After that, it's powered up and can take the Miltank out with ease. Now it's time to head north to Ecruteak City. In the dance hall, I level up against the Kimono girls. I want to get to level 28 and learn Feint Attack before proceeding to the rival fight in Burned Tower. So here's an interesting piece of trivia about this move. While fact-checking one of my previous videos, my review team noticed that this move is spelled two different ways in Pokemon games. F-A-I-N-T before Generation 6, and then F-E-I-N-T after Generation 6. Seeing things like this in the Pokemon main series games makes me feel a bit better about mistakes in my videos. Technically, I can see how the name works either way, but I think it works better with the new spelling. With this Dark-type move, I can now make it past the rival's Haunter with relative ease. Croconaw is next, and here I get some great luck in the form of 2 consecutive flinches with Headbutt. The normal type moves in this generation are seriously great. I'm not sure about Morty just yet, because Feint Attack is a special move and Gligar has a low special attack stat, so I travel west to Olivine City first to complete the lighthouse. A couple more levels will make me much more confident. Also, I may have to add another rule to these playthroughs. I think that visiting Dennis needs to be required. If I skip him, it's obviously not a complete run or a complete video, so all the videos that I did before I started mentioning him are just clearly not valid anymore. It's time for Morty. Gligar's speed really shines in this fight. It allows me to move first. Feint Attack is powerful enough to take the Ghastly out in a single hit, and that prevents the first turn curse, which is so devastating in a solo playthrough. After that, Gengar does its typical Hypnosis fail. I'm serious, this thing has never put me to sleep in any playthroughs. and then uses Mean Look, and with that it's out of the way and I can clean up the following 2 Haunters and win the Fog Badge. I surf across the sea and fight Yusin. I think that's the correct pronunciation. While I was defeating him, I wondered if this fight is optional. I think that it is, so that means that the only added plot element in Crystal that must be completed over and above what we have to do in Gold and Silver anyways is Burn Tower. That makes the completion time between Crystal and Gold and Silver much closer than I originally thought it was. The trainers in Chuck's gym aren't a problem for Gligar. Flying type moves would be really nice, but I'm not going to get one of those today. Oh well. Then something incredible happens against Chuck himself. He sends out Primeape, and Gligar uses Headbutt, which causes the monkey to flinch. Okay, I knock it out for free, and then Poliwrath comes out. I use Headbutt again, and it flinches. Great, even more luck for me. And then it flinches again. And again. So that was 4 flinches in a row, and Chuck didn't even get to use a single move. That feels really great. It's so awesome when Chuck doesn't use Hypnosis against you. This fight is usually really demoralizing because Dynamic Punch hits like 3 times in a row and I'm like, that just shouldn't be possible. Anyways, today, no Hypnosis, no Dynamic Punch, I'm moving on. Next on my to-do list is a journey to the Lake of Rage to get the TM for Hidden Power. Gligar has gone long enough without a stab move. Because of how I set things up in the beginning, I know that Hidden Power is going to deal ground type damage. This move is going to help against Jasmine so much. In addition to Hidden Power, Gligar's happiness is now higher, so Return will be more viable. I can also pick up the TM for Sludge Bomb after completing the Rocket Hideout. Price or Jasmine next? That's the question. And I chose Price because he's usually really easy. I honestly don't think about him that much, I just immediately walk over to the gym and just beat him like he's another Rocket Leader. But this time before I made it to him, I actually lost to one of the trainers in his gym. I wasn't filming at that point, so whoops, but that's why there's one more reset. So Gligar is actually gonna struggle against Price. I've finally found a Pokemon that struggles here. I honestly wasn't sure that I'd ever see this day, and even with Return, I can't make it past him, so I'll have to go and fight Jasmine first. Because I have Hidden Power Ground, her team is weak against me. I can one-shot both of the Magnemites, and even the Steelix isn't a threat. After she's out of the way, I head over to the sea and I level up a bit more. I'm gonna need a bit more power to take on Price. Can't believe I'm saying that. At level 41, I reattempt him. Yep, I just said that. I'm actually reattempting Price. Seal is a one-shot with Return. Dugong takes 2 hits and does massive damage with Aurora Beam. Piloswine uses Blizzard on the first turn, but it misses. I don't think that Return will KO since the pig is still in green health. But I get a better range and it faints. I made it past Price, but that was mostly just luck. The extra levels helped manage the Dugong, but other than that, I just needed Blizzard to miss. That's definitely not the most satisfying win. The Rocket plotline is very boring in these games. By this point in a solo playthrough, my Pokemon is very over-leveled, and all these weak Rocket Pokemon just don't stand a chance. But then this Porygon freezes me. That's okay though, because in Generation 2 there's a 10% chance to Thaw. Also I'm saying Thaw now, not Unthaw. And then I just don't for so many turns in a row while Porygon whittles me down with Tri-Attack. Nice, I finally thawed. Time to strike back. I hit Porygon again with Return, and it survives. Just one more hit required, I can do this. It uses Tri-Attack again and freezes Gligar. Please, I've gotta thaw fast this time. But luck isn't on my side and Gligar faints. On a second attempt, this fight is easy because I avoid being frozen. I did lose some time here though because I never saved between Rocket Grunts, so I had to go back to the beginning of Radio Tower. Why would I save after each Rocket Grunt? That seems like so much wasted time. The rival in the underground has a couple of Pokemon that could be problematic. The first is Feraligatr. I use Return and deal just under half damage to it. After it uses Water Gun, I use Sludge Bomb and poison it, which deals enough damage to knock it out. The next Pokemon is Sneasel. It survives with a sliver of health, but it doesn't do much damage to me with Feint Attack. After that, his final 2 Pokemon are weak to ground type moves, so I can sweep through them with ease. I begin my journey towards Claire and ice paths along the way. I've played Crystal a few times now, and these puzzles aren't causing me any more issues. In the 8th gym, I face off against dragons for the first time. I'm not looking forward to Claire. While I deal neutral damage to the Dratini line, the Horsey line is very scary. My best move against them is the raw power of Return, but I could gamble with Sludge Bomb and try to get a poison. One silver lining here is that Gligar is ground type, and that will prevent Claire from using Thunder Wave to paralyze me. Her first Dragonair is fairly straightforward, but the second one knows Ice Beam, and it immediately knocks Gligar out. Ice moves are just awful to face off against when you have this little flying demon cat. I examined Gligar's Learn set, and I think that there are two options here. Claire's Pokemon are all female, and that gives my male Gligar the ability to use Attract. However, this is only going to give Claire's Pokemon a 50% chance to fail their attacks. I'll still have to attack and knock them out after. There is another option though, and it's one that I've never used on this channel, and that is using a one-hit KO move. Guillotine is one that Gligar learns through level up, and it's only 2 levels away. I want to explain the accuracy mechanics behind these moves because it isn't as simple as the 30% accuracy that most sites and games display. All one-hit KO moves will fail if the target is a higher level than the user. That's not an issue here because I'm a higher level. And if that's the case, the accuracy starts at a base of 75 out of 256, or roughly 30%, and then increases by 2 out of 256 for each level the user is above the target. So in my case, I'll fight Kingdra at level 52, giving Guillotine an accuracy of 39%. This is a Hail Mary play, but I think that it might be the best chance Gligar has against the Ice Beam Dragonair and the Kingdra. If you've already written a comment about how I'm pronouncing Guillotine wrong, thanks for helping me out with the YouTube algorithm. By the way, my review team actually had a quick debate about this one. Turns out that American English pronounces it as guillotine, which is in line with the French origins of the word, while British English pronounces it as guillotine. I'm from Canada, so I'll be using the British pronunciation. Forgive me, my American neighbors. Here's Claire's team. She'll send out the Dragonair with Surf first since it's the lead of her team. After that, she chooses the Dragonair with Ice Beam for the 4 times effective damage. I use Guillotine against it because I won't survive one of the Ice Beams. It works, and the first threat is neutralized. The Kingdra comes out next because the final Dragonair has no super effective moves. I use Guillotine and I pray. It misses Kingdra and then it uses Surf. But Gligar survives with 21 hit points. I've got one shot, one opportunity, to Guillotine a Kingdra, but Gligar misses and Claire finishes me off. Okay, I think I can do this. Let's try one more time. I use Return against the first Dragonair and it almost knocks it out. Perhaps I should just level up a couple more times and make this fight consistent. Against the second Dragonair, I failed Guillotine twice and it knocks me out. I attempted the fight again and Return actually knocks the first Dragonair out in a single hit, so it's a range. The second one survives, but I finish it off after surviving Ice Beam. I miss Guillotine against Kingdra and that's it. So these ranges will improve dramatically if I just level up. The additional levels will also improve Guillotine's accuracy, so it's a win-win. One thing to consider is that if I'd just taken a perfect Gligar instead of Gligar with hidden power, I would have 3 additional DVs in attack. These extra stat points would likely have given Gligar the offensive boost it needed at level 52 to defeat the Dragonairs with Return in a single hit. Grinding for levels does the same thing anyways though, and now the Dragonairs are easy to one-hit. I arrive at Kingdra with full health, and this is really encouraging. It's time for the Guillotine gamble. I miss, and then Kingdra uses Smokescreen. Well, that's probably it. I miss again, and Claire continues to blow smoke in Gligar's face for the next 2 turns. 3 Smokescreens. If Guillotine actually hits, I'll be astonished. And then it does. Gligar did it, despite all the Smokescreens and the awful base accuracy. The last Dragonair is easy to clean up with Return, and now I'm moving on to the league. On the way to Victory Road, some of the trainers have been repositioned in Crystal, so that you can skip them. Gligar is at a decent level, so I skip as many as possible. This leads me to discover the location of the Solar Beam TM. This might be useful for my upcoming Yanma run after all. After that, I head towards the cave, and a deep sense of disappointment sets in. While Gligar can learn Earthquake, it can only do so through special event, not through TM. So all there is to do here is fight the rival for the final time. I think that the only solution required for this final rival fight is to use Return in combination with a ground type move. All of his Pokemon are simple to take care of because they don't have particularly strong movesets and are underleveled. Here are my moves and stats before the league. Gligar is level 56, so I think that it's possible. However, Lance's first Dragonite knows Blizzard. That could stop Gligar if I don't have a solution. Now, let's see how this little Demon Fox does. Will's Xatu isn't a one-hit with Return. That's not a very encouraging start to the league. However, the rest of Will's team is not particularly good. Gligar manages all of them. Well, maybe I should say that Return manages them, because the only move that I used here other than Return is Sludge Bomb for Exeggutor. Koga is easy. His team doesn't pose a serious threat to Gligar. It's a fairly slow fight, but I don't think I'd fail here even if I reattempted this many times. Bruno could be difficult because Hitmonchan knows Ice Punch. What am I saying? Bruno could be difficult? That's not a good follow-up to losing to Price. My poor ego. If Ice Punch does good damage, and then it gets a critical hit, but Gligar survives with around half health. Okay, my ego survives for another day. Everyone's already forgotten about Price already, right? Just forget about that. Karen's Umbreon is always a 2-hit because it's so bulky, so I decided that it would be so hype if Guillotine could just one-shot it right away. But I miss, and then I pay for the miss because Umbreon uses Sand Attack. Twice. This makes Gligar miss against Gengar, and then it curses my Demon Squirrel. But then for some reason, all of my attacks just land. Interesting. I think that this is the first time that Sand Attack has just failed this miserably for the AI. Lance is last. Gyarados is a 2-hit, and then next is the Blizzard Dragonite. Guillotine time. It hits, and from there it's slow going. I don't have a move that Aerodactyl doesn't resist, so it whittles my health down. I've got to defeat the final Dragonite without healing. It uses Outrage, and that does enough damage to knock me out. So I need a better solution. Guillotine is risky, and I currently have no recovery options. Time for rest. I speed through the league again. I'm fighting them all again because in Johto I don't save between league members. I arrive back at Lance, and I think that rest is going to let me continuously heal and cause the final Dragonite to damage itself in confusion after using Outrage. This is what happens, and Gligar is crowned champion of Generation 2. But I still need to defeat Red. That's the hardest part, and it's just around the corner. Surge is easy with Hidden Power Ground, and Sabrina is simple with Return. Sludge Bomb isn't particularly useful for the other gyms in Kanto, so for once Erica isn't depleting useful PP. After that, I take a slightly different approach to Kanto. Normally I head south on Cycling Road and then face Janine immediately, but this time I head north and take care of the Machine Part and Nugget Bridge. This leads to a fight against Misty. Golduck's Surf does a lot of damage, but I do manage to take it out and the Quagsire without too much worry. But then Lapras comes out, and it knocks Gligar out with an Ice move. Okay, so I gotta come back and finish this fight after I've taken care of all the other Kanto leaders. From here I head to Diglett's Tunnel and face Brock. Hidden Power Ground makes this trivial. It also makes the fight against Blaine just as easy. After that I travel across this small section of water and then face Janine. This routing helps me skip the mandatory trainer after Cycling Road, as well as the spinning bikers who are tricky to sneak by. Above that, it's also just a shorter path overall. This does mean that I can start skipping the bike in Goldenrod and save a small amount of time there. More opportunities to improve my efficiency in these games gets me unnaturally excited. I just get really excited about these things, that's all I'm trying to say. Blue is next. He starts with Pidgeot and it survives a return with half health. I finish it off and Gyarados comes out next. First turn it sets up Rain Dance, and from there things go south for my small flying demon rat. The Gyarados gets healed by Blue and then starts to use Hydro Pump. So both Misty and Blue are walling Gligar at this point. I need more levels for Red, so I spend some time training. The trainers in Kanto are honestly fairly weak, so after defeating some of them, I head back to the Elite Four to finish my training. At level 70, I face off against Misty for the second time. At this level, Return is doing enough damage to make it past both Golduck and Quagsire without taking any damage. Because my level has increased, Lapras sees that a KO range with Blizzard isn't possible, so it uses Perish Song instead. I've got 3 turns to finish this battle off. Starmie is last, and lucky for me, this thing is defensively frail. Return takes it out in a single hit. Blue's Pidgeot takes more damage as well now from Return. Gyarados is next. At this level, I'm doing enough damage to take care of it in 2 turns, which lets me bypass the full restores that Blue loves to spam on this Knot Dragon. From there, Gligar is well equipped to deal with the rest of Blue's team. Red is the final challenge for Gligar. I'm really not looking forward to this one. At level 72, I do outspeed the Pikachu and knock it out with Hidden Power Ground. He sends out Blastoise next because it knows Blizzard. It doesn't miss, and in a single super effective 4 times effective hit, Gligar faints. Let's see what happens at level 82 after I use all my rare candies. Maybe I can survive the turtle's freezing snowstorm then? This time it just misses and lets Gligar knock it out. Espeon gets off one Psychic before it faints, and then Red sends out Snorlax. Against it, I do fairly well, but it just isn't enough right now. After getting paralyzed, the Sleepy Bear knocks Gligar out. I tried this fight a lot more at this level because I figured that Blastoise can still miss and that I can make it past the Snorlax with slightly better luck. However, this isn't possible without absolutely astronomical luck. I spend some time training and then I reattempt at level 84. Blastoise is still just luck at this level though. I get a critical hit and I knock it out in 2 turns instead of 3. I can get to the Charizard now and Sleep Talk is my answer for it. This combo of Rest and Sleep Talk is so broken in Generation 2, because Sleep Talk can trigger Rest again and heal me up. If it does this though, it does reset the sleep timer, but Charizard here is just dealing slightly too much damage and I can't get past it. I level up more and reattempt at level 87. I even tried to give Gligar some vitamins between these fights, but because I've trained up so much throughout the playthrough, they won't have any effect at this point. I'm gonna try another moveset. Swagger returns Sleep Talk and Rest. Swagger is useful against Red's special attackers like Blastoise and Espeon. It makes proceeding past them a more likely event. Luck is still required, but a lot less now. At Snorlax, this strategy becomes incredibly unpredictable. Because I'm using Sleep Talk, I can accidentally use Swagger against it. This raises its attack stat and powers up its Body Slam. It might be best to just wait out the sleep, but Swagger gets the job done and I move on to Charizard. With Swagger, a higher level, and a bit of luck, the Flying Lizard faints. Venusaur is the last Pokemon. I use Swagger first turn with Sleep Talk, but it still manages to make the sun bright with Sunny Day. The next turn it hits itself in confusion and that gives Gligar the opening it needs to finish the fight off. The game is finished, and Gligar did it with a time of 3 hours, 45 minutes, and 47 seconds. Its time earns it a place in the B tier. I think I played fairly well in this playthrough. I could have proceeded faster through Red if I had trained first and skipped the attempts. I just thought that Blizzard would miss and I could manage the following Pokemon. Maybe I would shave around 10 to 12 minutes off the time if I had just proceeded to training immediately. However, reattempting at level 87 with Swagger also might have taken more time, just because it is a slightly luck-based strategy. Up next in Johto is Murkrow, so subscribe and ring the chime echo so that you'll be notified when that video releases. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with a friend. You've listened to a lot of my thoughts, so it's my turn to listen to yours. I read all the comments, so write a message down below, but maybe you want to go above and beyond. If you do, consider joining my Patreon. I'm collecting the original 151 patrons, and honestly we're getting pretty close. Last time I checked there was like 30 spots left. Regardless of the amount you pledge, you'll be included in this credit sequence, but the most important thing is just that you're here watching. Thanks so much. If you've made it this far, you're incredible. And now it's time for the bloopers. In Union Cave, there are 2 hikers, and I really want to avoid both of them because both these fights will be frustrating with only 4. Well, I was doing so well there. Duh. All right, here we go again. So all playthroughs before Dennis are clearly not valid anymore. Phone! Where was I? I was talking about Dennis. That's where I was. I was talking about Dennis. Okay. I surf across the sea and fight Yusin. I think that's the correct pronunciation. I clearly can't pronounce correctly. What am I doing? Okay, let's do that again. I surf across the sea and fight Yusin. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Pronunciation? Yeah, that's correct, right? Pronunciation. I'm like looking at the word, I'm like, no, that's not how you pronounce that. Pronunciation. Pronounce? No, definitely not pronounce. Okay. I surf across the sea and fight Yusin. I think that's the correct. Okay, this line is this is getting me. I think that's the correct. Am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. I gotta like listen back to the recording. It just feels like I'm saying it wrong now every time I get there. It uses, I just got a great thought. It's like, I somehow in the script I wrote beetle this time instead of like mouse bat thing or demon thing. And then I was just like, what if I just say that it's something different every single time that it comes up?